So an example of an inclusive leader. First of all, I'm based in Southeast Asia, in Singapore for 15 years. Before that, I was based in China, and before that in France. And I'm working as a coach, and I've coached a lot of people, some way beyond 1,000 people. So I had the opportunity to meet many leaders and many founders of organizations, and being private to conversation, we're really sometimes struggling and being in pain and facing their fears and looking for courage to express themselves and find a way to include some of their ideas and beliefs within contexts which were not necessarily very inviting or very inclusive of anything else but the bottom line, the profit that they were sometimes hired to deliver, at the same time as top cultural results and top pulse engagement and employee motivation and absolutely low level of attrition and increasing unbelievable pipeline of talent and customer satisfaction and great strategy and innovation capacity, but also ways of delivering process. So basically everything all at once sold together, like a big buffet. Of course, this creates a little bit of tension. This puts you in front of what you believe are your limitations. And this is inviting us, or the leaders I had the opportunity to work with, to transcend limits which they perceived to be real in the way they were engaging with people, and to listen to part of themselves or their team members or beyond the organization or beyond their culture, other ways of being and doing, so that they can answer to what seemed to be the ask or the need from what we would define as a market, being composed of the stakeholders and the customers and the employee and the upcoming generations. So let me just go straight to an inclusive leader. The person which comes to mind is someone I had the opportunity to work with for quite some time, who is of Indian origin, based in Southeast Asia, working for a large Western organization that we all know about, and who has been an example of including the very conservative organization agenda and ways of behaving and way of structuring itself, while paying attention to the ask or the need from his teams. He's managing a very large part of this company now, and had to develop dialogues and say yes to mounting requirements or unexpressed requirements from some of the team members to be heard and be recognized and be appreciated, so that they can be more creative and innovative in serving their customers in ways which were inclusive of their own needs. And he has a very strong capacity to develop his trust for people to trust him, but also learning to trust his own instinct. Because obviously, to be inclusive of others, you also have to be inclusive of yourself and navigate your own insecurities and self-doubt and sometimes lack of self-confidence. And the more you develop capacity and confidence in self, the more you learn that it's okay and that you have the capacity to trust others and other ways. And even when you have, like this gentleman, a very strong agenda for people and for the planet, he learned to include those ideas and those asks and those needs way beyond the organization, while answering the immediate concern of a traditional, or maybe a bit more exclusive or a bit more close-minded, let's say. There is also the capacity to help the organization, help every part of the structure to be more and more inclusive, while taking the time it needs to take to do that, because it's not about denying and pushing back what's already going on. It's also including the fears, because of course people are not bullied by pleasure initially. Our fears, our lack of confidence, our insecurities are driving our very strong-handed bullying behaviors. And the more we can be with the fear behind that, the more we can be with creating a story of shifting stories in people's mind about what might happen if they are open to other people's success or different otherness success, people different from themselves, the easier it is for them to give it a try or to experiment or to open themselves up. And that's the result of inclusion. So being an inclusive leader in that case was a capacity for this man to get in touch with the whole range of energy available within him, so that he could be in touch with various pockets of the organization, but at the same time he would include the more traditional ways of the organization. He also managed to include his personal agenda and his personal belief about the planet, and find a way for them to be in conversation, in an open conversation, as we mentioned earlier, within himself and within a subset of his organization, so that the conversation can be more and more open in the organization at different speed. And that created very good results. Of course, commercial results, but tremendous engagement, tremendous innovation, and new partnerships, and acquisition, and divestment, and managing crisis, and of course managing very well also more economic growth. And that's the funny thing, right? That the paradox is, by stop trying to control and to direct everything and be more open and inviting of other ways of being, people did the work themselves. People were innovative. The more inclusive you are, the more supportive people are. And that's not a recipe, of course. Thank you for listening.